Hey everyone, welcome to the Niche Pursuits podcast. Today I'm happy to have Justin Cook on the show. Justin runs the popular website EmpireFlippers.com along with his partner Joe. Now I've known Justin and Joe for a few years now and actually had them both on the podcast for episode 3 way back in April of 2012. So back then they were known as the AdSense Flippers, but have since become the Empire Flippers. We are going to get into why they made the brand name switch and how it's gone for them. In addition, they used to primarily focus on building out thousands of small niche AdSense sites. However, as the demand has grown to buy their sites and others sell the sites, they've moved into the site brokering business. So on the show today, I'm going to discuss how their business is going overall and some tips for anyone looking to buy or sell a site. I had a lot of fun interviewing Justin, so I hope you enjoyed the show.
Welcome to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, it's Spencer here. Welcome to another Niche Pursuits Podcast. Today I've got Justin Cook with EmpireFlippers.com on the show. Justin, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, Spencer.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I had you and Joe on the show year and a half, something like that ago, and you know, a lot has changed since then. I mean, especially in the SEO internet world, things change very rapidly. So, year and a half is like an eternity. Back then, you were building a lot of niche sites every month, and I think we talked about sort of the processes that you used, and that was sort of the whole focus. But I know that your business has changed a little bit. Why don't you tell us what's changed? What are you guys focusing on right now?
Well, first of all, just thanks for having me on the program again, man. I really appreciate it, and I hope your listeners get some value out of this. Previously, when we talked, you know, we were knocking out sites, a bunch of small sites. We're using Longtail Pro for keyword research and building out the content. We have a whole team here in the Philippines, my business partner and I, where we were building out these sites. We continued with that, you know, through 2012 and 2013. In 2013, though, we started getting a lot of requests from people that wanted to sell their sites. They knew that we have an audience of people that want to buy websites. And we kind of put them off. We said, you know, we should just build more of our own sites and sell our own. And we started to really see an opportunity there for other people to sell their sites. And they're building sites similar to ours or even significantly different, but they're valuable. They're making profit every month. And we wanted to offer them a platform to be able to do that. So, you know, basically that involved allowing, you know, them to broker their sites through us and through our audience. And that's something that we focused on in 2013.
That makes absolute sense. I think you guys bring a lot to the table as well because you've established some trust with your existing audience. You guys have built a lot of sites, you've sold a lot of sites, and having you guys in place to sort of vet the sites that come in to potentially sell, that adds a lot of value to potential buyers. So I think that's why it's a good fit for you guys. This next question is maybe obvious, but let's tackle it anyways. You guys went through a little bit of rebranding as part of this whole process. Before you were AdSenseFlippers.com, now you're EmpireFlippers.com. Why did you make that name change?
So looking back, it's a lot easier to look back on things you did and say, oh, that was so good. But looking back, I think it was a really smart idea to focus on AdSense Flippers. So we were the niche AdSense site guys.
Yeah.
You know, people knew us as the niche AdSense site guys, and they knew exactly what we were doing. And so, but we talked about that quite a bit. In fact, we talked about it so much on our podcast, Empire Flippers podcast, that we were blue in the face, right? Like, how much can you talk about ad unit placement and stuff? So
right.
We started realizing that we were more interested in talking kind of about like the business behind what we're doing, like kind of our you know, profit streams, how we see our business shaping up, how we view opportunity, which opportunities we take and which ones we don't. And we thought it's a little more vague, so we need to kind of wrap that up under a new brand and not just have it be AdSense Flippers. So the idea is to talk to other people that are, you know, creating and building, buying, and selling their way to an online empire through the use of, you know, profitable websites online. And so we want to talk a bit more about that. We figured a brand change would probably be appropriate, and we did that. I think, you know, a mistake we made, and for anyone else who goes through this, it's something to pay attention to, but we were a bit too vague and not very clear on our message. So Ads and Flippers, yeah, we're the niche site guys. With Empire Flippers, like, who exactly are we? And it took us, I think, a while, probably a good 4 or 5 months before we started to figure out, who we wanted to be when we grew up, I guess.
Right.
So with the new brand, it was really exciting because we got to talk and kind of open ourselves up to new things. But I think we could have tightened it down, and that's something we're doing in 2014. Really, our focus in 2014 is to be the number one place for curated, profitable websites in the $10,000 to $100,000 range. And the way we've done that is by attracting, sellers and getting buyers that are looking for profitable sites in that niche. So as we've added more sites, $30,000, $40,000 sites, we're attracting the right buyers, the right kind of people that are looking to add to their portfolio and add these types of sites to, all the other sites they own today.
Yeah, no, great points there. It makes sense, the rebranding, that you've moved away from just niche AdSense sites, which is what you were doing before, now to this sort of brokerage side where you're helping people sell their sites and do other things as well there. But how did you really get started brokering sites? I mean, do you remember the first site that you sold for somebody else?
Yeah, so we had some sellers reaching out and emailing us and asking us about it. And we always kind of said, no. Not right now. We did the same thing with our products and services. People kept asking for these things, and we said, that's not really the way we roll. That's not the way we work. But after you get enough requests, and silly us, right? Sure. But you should listen to your customers. I mean, if they're saying I want to pay you money for this, I want you to do this for me, and we'll make money together. That's an opportunity. And if enough people say it, that's probably something you should do. So, when we first said, okay, we're going to allow others to sell on our marketplace, we had some sellers that had already previously reached out. We contacted them and said, hey, we'd like to do some beta testing. So we're going to be kind of strict on the sites we allow, but if you have a few sites that you think might be a good fit, why don't you send them over to us, and we're going to go through our process for vetting them. Now, that's not a full due diligence process. It's not like, there's a guarantee of anything when you buy the sites, but it's a lot better than, going someplace else where there are hundreds and hundreds of kind of crappy sites or sites that don't really fit, that niche, and having to dig through them. So we want to, provide a curated spot. So when we listed our sites for sale, or we listed these brokerage sites for sale, it was scary because we thought, are we cannibalizing our opportunity to sell our own sites by listing other people's sites? That was a question that we actually had. Mm-hmm. Like, are they going to be more interested in their sites than ours? Are we going to hurt our ability to sell our own sites? And, it came down to, what is better for the industry and what has more long-term, benefit. And we were thinking, if we have a bunch of people that are looking to buy sites, and we can match them up with people that want to sell sites, even if we hurt our ability to sell ourselves, that's good for the industry. People are going to appreciate that. And whenever you can provide that kind of value, there's money to be made. We're going to make money on it. We may switch how we're making money, but we're going to make money on this. So we figured let's give it a shot. And then when people started buying them, and we started getting the money rolling in, and we started transferring the sites and doing going through the whole process, we started to realize this is something we can really do. I mean, this is something that that people are looking for, that people need. And we're filling a niche that needs to be filled.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, when people are banging down your door, that means there's a market there. There's a need there that you can fulfill.
It's funny, Spencer. Sometimes we're so thick-headed. I'm sure you've done this too, where you get like feature requests for Longtail Pro or something, and you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe. And then finally you're like, yeah, I could probably charge for that. They'd probably pay me money for that. Maybe I should add that. Yeah, I know. You get in your own zone, right? And you kind of forget, wow, yeah, if I support them, if I'm doing what they're asking me for, it'll be good for them and for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. And sometimes it is a matter of choosing how much time you have and where you want to focus your efforts as well. I mean, I get a lot of emails, people asking me to consult with them, building websites and things like that. It's, it's just an area I haven't gotten into really. I, basically say to everybody, sorry, it's not where I'm focusing. I'm focusing on building my own business, So I don't know.
I like the fact that you've taken the public mentorship role. I think that's pretty interesting. So even if some of the other people aren't getting the one-on-one mentorship from you, they're able to follow along with the journey. And I think you're helping the industry in that you're helping people build profitable, valuable sites, right? On the other end, there are other people doing this too. John Haver, right? Authority Website Income. Yep. You've got Tung Tran over there at Cloud Living, and it's a really interesting community. And I think our role, what we're finding, is that we're not going to be, we still talk about kind of how we're building out our sites, and we still are building out sites, but we're going to continue to talk about that. But I think our real focus, our goal, is going to be in supporting that community, right, and allowing people to get value on the sale of their sites, and they can front load the cash to build out more, to expand their empire. And I think we're a part of that community with you and with the others. And I think that if we can help support that community and the readers and listeners that come with it, I think we're going to be able to help each other out.
Yeah, no, and it's smart business. I mean, it makes you guys different. It makes you stand out. I mean, how many other... I can't think of any other site that sells websites kind of like you guys do, that are vetted like this for our particular industry.
There are a few brokers like our competitors, I guess, would be people like Flipping Enterprises and Latonis. So they do website sales, and then there are like the higher up brokers. Right. Biz Buy Sell. You've got Quiet Light Brokerage, but generally brokers focus on the $200,000 plus sites.
Yep.
So because for them, if they saw an $80,000 site or a $200,000 site, the amount of work is similar. So they might as well get that bigger commission on a $200,000 sale. And you would think, well, the same thing applies to us, except we're in the community. Like, we're actually building out these sites too. So we know where the sellers are coming from. We know what buyers are looking for in buying these sites. I'd also say that we, owning an outsourcing company and having staff here in the Philippines, I'm in the Philippines now, right? Mm-hmm. So having this team here that can work on the cheap, and us knowing how to utilize them and build process in our business is helpful for keeping our costs down. So coming up with this kind of hybrid approach where we're able to broker, the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 sites, I think is a real market for us.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm on your page for featured websites for sale, and you've got quite a few listings here. What's your success rate when you list a site? How often do they sell? I mean, are you selling them 90% of the time? Do you always sell out? Do you have sort of a ratio of sites that are sold that are listed?
That's a good question. So we were looking at the numbers, and it came out to be more than 95% of the sites that we've listed have sold.
Nice.
That's not counting... for example, we had one co-broker situation where it sold, but it didn't come through us. So it's not counting that site. And it's not counting a site that a guy took down because there were problems with it. Mm-hmm. And so we took it off the marketplace because of that. But everything else has sold. You compare that to a place like Flippa, which has like 50 to 60% sell-through rate, I think. Mm-hmm. So, and this is general across the board. I mean, most brokers are above 80% in their sell-through rate. We just happen to be really high right now at above 95%, closer to 98%. But almost all of the sites that we've listed on the marketplace have sold, which is fantastic. And I think the reason for that is because the sites we select to list are the types of sites that we know people want to buy. And I think that's the real difference.
Yeah, I agree. You guys have a good sort of pulse on the industry, and people trust you in the industry. So it makes a lot of sense as far as that's concerned. Now, in addition, you mentioned that you are still building out some sites. Let's just talk about that briefly. I mean, how much effort are you putting into that? Are you building lots of sites, or you just have a few that you're building out? What are you doing there, actually building out sites?
Joe and I have very little to do with it. There was for a long time we had, Joe was the kind of final arbiter for keyword selection, and that was kind of the last piece we hung on to for a long time.
Gotcha. So,
they would do all the research on Longtail Pro, come up with the possibilities, and Joe would take out the ones that just didn't seem to be the best fit. Because we had a spreadsheet, and he would look through it. We don't even do that anymore. So that team is fairly insular in that they're knocking out sites on a regular basis without our input. We've had some breaks, so things like niche sites from scratch put a dent in our ability to create sites. We also did. We've also changed it around a bit. So we're testing something right now where we follow John Haver's process for finding expired domains, and then we're adding 50 pages of content. The idea being, if we can build larger sites with a better ROI, that would be the method to take. The results aren't in on that yet, though. and we're kind of mixed on the success we think we're going to see. Joe is really positive. He said, dude, this is going to be a winner. I see it already. And I'm looking at the reports. They're really, really preliminary, and some of the sites still aren't finished being built. I find out today, actually. But I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to work. We're looking at, I think we spent about $300 or so on these sites, and for us to consider them a winner, we'd want them to average $50 a month.
Yeah.
So if that's working and that's effective, then we'll roll that out as well. So the results are mixed, and they're not all in yet. So when they do, we'll put something up on the blog and kind of lay out a case study on what happened there.
No, that's cool. That would be interesting to see how actually building a site on an expired domain would do. So yeah, people can follow up, of course, on your blog for that when that comes out. But I know that that's not necessarily your main focus, just something that, like you said, your team's working on right now. But the thing that you did just mention, the service, the niche sites from scratch, I wanted to talk about that for a little bit, because I noticed that on, I think it was your November income report that you first mentioned that, or at least that I first noticed it. Sort of shows you that I'm out of the loop a little bit. I didn't even know you offered that service till it was all sold out. You guys had it up for a little while. It sold out really quick. What was niche sites from scratch? Are you still offering it? Are you going to open it back up in the future?
Yeah, so here's the thing. It was in November. I think we talked about it in October, actually, Joe and I. We were talking about, December typically being a lower sales month for us, and also having some extra cycles, having our people, be available and having extra work that they could take on. So we started talking about, we get a lot of requests for people to, buy sites that we build out for them. And we've said no often. In fact, kind of our, we don't do this answer was, unless you're willing to try out 100 sites, then it's a no. Mm-hmm. And we actually had some people earlier in the year that had done that. So I think we had, 3 people with 1 person do a reorder. So 400 sites total we sold like that.
Wow.
That were pre-built for them. And that was privately. Those are people that contacted us privately. And so we had some experience doing it. We tried it out, and we had 1 person that actually rebought. And we said, this might be an interesting thing to offer. And so we were talking about it. It's great cash flow pre-Christmas, but it would take us a couple of months to really do all the work for these clients that we would take on. So we said, okay, let's do a limited release, because what we don't want to do is sell too many and then it takes us forever to deliver.
Right.
So we put a huge requirement. We said it'll take up to 3 months to get to the sites. It's a limited release. This is all we're doing. We laid out, we'd done this previously for a couple of clients, and then opened the doors, and it sold out really quick. Also, it was a way for me to sneak some money into some of the charity stuff that we do. We awesome. Took some of the money, and we do the Christmas gifts for the kids in Davao. We dress up in Santa hats and buy. This year is over 1,000 presents, and we take them in bags, and we go around like we're Santa and hand them out to some of the kids in the poor areas here in Davao City. And then we did some Kiva stuff with the extra money. So it was a way for me to sneak some cash away from the business and funnel into kind of fun side projects. So, I told Joe, I said, okay, buddy, I'll bring in some cash, but we get some of it for charity. He's like, hot money over there. Says, yeah, okay, man, that's fine. so we did it, and it sold out quickly. And we spent the last couple of months building the sites up. We just sent out a survey trying to get some feedback from the buyers to try to get an idea on, what they consider the success rate is. As far as I can see, I think we had 22 customers or something, and from the feedback I've got, there are 2 that are unhappy, there are 3 that are happy, and then all the rest are kind of either not responding or not terribly happy or unhappy, just kind of in the middle. So we're trying to figure out if we're going to launch this again in February. It's likely, but we still want to wait a bit, kind of see what the results are, make sure that we're able to finish the first batch, which we're still not finished for a few of the clients. So we're still working on creating their sites for them. So until that's done, we won't be launching it. But probably in February, it's looking like we might do another batch, maybe a couple hundred sites offered total.
And so how many sites were people getting? If I went and I was one of those 22 buyers, what did it cost me? How many sites did I get? If you can, share the cost and everything like that.
Yeah, I think it was 5 sites for $697 or something like that. 10 sites for, God, I don't know, 1,400.
That gives us a range, though, yeah.
20 sites for like 2,800, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it was around that range. So people would buy small packs of sites, and we build them out and kind of step them through the process. So first we pick out the keywords, show them the keywords. Okay, great. Then we buy the domains. Then we do the site setup, give them access. Then we would go ahead and add the order and add the content for them, and kind of like they would get to see our agents through our Zendesk support system take each next step and like what they're working on the site, so they can kind of follow along. People really appreciate the fact that they're able to see it, because it's not just, I mean, it's yes, they want to get the sites and they want to get them earning, but it's also to kind of see the process and kind of how it works, how these sites are being built out, how long it takes, the people that are working on it, and it's surprisingly a large amount of people that buy our sites to have it as an asset, but also to kind of recreate it. So you have site builders that say, I want to build profitable sites. I failed in the past, or I just can't get it kind of worked out. I'm going to buy a site and try to recreate it. I'm going to step back through it and see how I can build sites just like this, so that I can start building out these profitable sites myself.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good service. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that want a site but either don't have the know-how, or they don't have the time, or they maybe have a little bit of money and just see what you guys can do. Any one of those situations that people would be interested in buying a package like that. So
the only thing is, I'd say that Niche Sites from Scratch is more of a gamble, right? We're putting the gamble on the buyer, whereas like if a site's already up and earning, I mean, there are no guarantees of future income. We can't say that the site's going to continue to earn, but I mean, it has a track record, right? It's been earning X amount of money per month for the last 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, whatever. So you're buying an asset that's already earning, whereas if you're investing in Niche Sites from Scratch, it's a gamble. You may have one huge winner that completely blows the rest of them out of the water. You could end up with 5-10 duds. So, that was kind of our concern, is that, I don't want people to buy duds. And we knew if we're building out 100 sites for people and we sold them in large packages, they're going to have a few winners in there that make up for, a bunch of losers.
Right.
But in a 5-site package, it seems a bit more risky. You're going to have some that just crush it and some that don't. And so we were very clear about that up front, trying to make sure that, people understood that. But then, so that's kind of my concern with the Niche Sites from Scratch service, as opposed to sites that are already earning. The only thing is, you're buying the Niche Sites from Scratch for much cheaper than a $500 a month site is going to cost you $10,000, right, for one site. So it really kind of depends on where you're where you are financially and kind of what you want to accomplish.
Yep. And so, obviously, your main focus is on the brokering sites at this point. And you've kind of mentioned in your past couple of income reports, basically about upping your game. Just in your most recent income report, you sort of mentioned that you want to be the number one provider of sites in the $10,000 to $100,000 range, sites for sale. And so how are you guys going to do that? What are some of your steps that you guys have planned to grow the service, grow the brokerage side of the business?
So, I'm hesitant to say like just all of our plans, because, some things work out, some things don't. It's like, oh, I've got all these plans, and yeah, some of them don't fly. But some of the things we're thinking about doing, and I think it would be helpful in the industry, are taking, for example, talking to our buyers and sellers and getting them on, let's say, mini podcasts or doing blog interviews with them, and talking about, for a seller, how they built the site, why they chose the niche, why they brought the site to us to sell, what they were expecting, how the process went, and it does a few things. For builders, it gives them the insights behind someone who's actually building profitable sites and selling them for a profit. So they're actually learning from other people who are doing what they want to do. For buyers, for example, if we interview a seller that has a site for sale right then, they have the opportunity to kind of talk to or listen to the seller and kind of hear kind of what their plans are in their own words for building that site out, for expanding that site if they were to keep it. So I think that helps support the community. I think doing things like that, getting our name out there a bit more will be helpful. A lot of people have heard of Flippa, but not a lot of people have heard of Empire Flippers. So I think getting our name out there and sharing the fact that people, yes, you're able to sell your sites with us. Yes, we have profitable sites for sale. It's going to help, it's going to give them an option. Mm-hmm. There are some things with us that are less interesting to some people, right? So, for example, we don't share, oftentimes, most of the time, we don't share the domain and all the details behind the site up front. So, right. Some buyers come there and they go, well, what's this? I have to pay a deposit, and oftentimes it's a non-refundable deposit. I have to pay a deposit just to get the details on the site. What's going on with that? And I think, savvy buyers understand that we're protecting them. When you list a site on Flippa, for example, and we've done this, we've shared everything publicly, and we still do have some sites like this. But the problem is you end up with a dozen copycats. Right, so you have people copying that exact site and just trying to take it down. I know that you had people do negative SEO to one of your public sites, and they just hammered you just because that's, there are some people out there that are that way. Yep. And so being public puts you much more at risk. And so buyers know that if they're potentially buying a site, not having it shared publicly to a bunch of people that are going to copy it is going to be valuable to the buyer, the person who ends up with the site. So I think a lot of our buyers appreciate it. In fact, that's why we started not sharing the URLs, not sharing it publicly, is due to buyer requests. They said, I'd love to buy from you, but I'm scared with the Flippa stuff. In fact, there was someone selling a WSO on the Warrior Forum that specifically targeted us, said, here's how you go through and find sites from these guys, for example, Empire Flippers. You go through and you find their sites, and you do this, and you rebuild the site, and you copy it. Oh, and the guy actually sent it to me for like a review to see if I could give him a review. And I was like, what? This is ridiculous.
Don't think
so.
But,
yeah. So protecting buyers that end up with these sites was a really important sticking point. So, but some people can't get past that. They say, look, I don't want to pay a non-refundable deposit on a site I don't even know if I want. And that's okay. That's not for them. We do have some refundable deposits on some of the sites, and other sites are listed completely publicly and transparently. So if they can't find those sites they like, then they're free to shop elsewhere. So I don't think we're a market for everybody. But I do think for more the discerning buyers in that range, they kind of get what we're doing and appreciate it.
Yeah, no, very cool. And here's maybe it's a personal question, I guess, about my business, but hopefully this can help people out there listening. I've actually sort of set a goal, if you will, for myself this year, because I want to start buying more sites myself. I want to, in addition to my own portfolio of sites that I'm building, I want to buy some existing sites and grow those, and either keep those or sell those in the future or whatever. So I'm looking to spend a little bit of money, buy a few sites this year. What should I be looking for? What should people that are out trying to vet an existing website, that they can potentially buy? What are a few points that people can look into?
Sure, I'll give you a few of the vetting steps that we use, and then just kind of like the more general or overall steps. One of the more general overall steps is that if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So if someone's trying to sell $1,000 a month profit earner for $1,500, that doesn't make any sense, right? They keep it for a month and a half, and they've made the price of the sale to sell it to you. So that's not realistic. It's not real. Most sites are going to go, anywhere from 15x to 30x, depending. I'd say that, give me an idea on the price range. Are you talking like $400 a month sites, $1,000 a month sites? Because it does make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, so I'm looking to spend about $25,000 this year. So that might be a couple of sites. It might be one big site. Maybe $500 a month site.
Okay, so one of the things I would look at is backlink profiles. So you want to make sure that the exact match anchor text isn't more than 30-40% of the links to the site. I think that's pretty important. Another thing I look at is earning history. Is it stable? Is it declining? We limit any sites that are listed on our platform. They can be increasing or stable, but they can't be declining. So anything that's had like a hit or it's really on a downward trend, we don't allow them to sell. But looking at something like that, I think, is important. Yep. A big one, and this is going to sound odd, but here's a really big one we found. Make sure that the seller has his information online. that they're third-party verifiable. And Spencer, this is something we found in business in general, with our outsourcing company, with other businesses, just in general. Don't work with someone that you can't verify. If they're sketch about telling you their name, if they have no Facebook, no LinkedIn, no Twitter, nothing, you're going to be wasting your time. It's easy for people to kind of create like a fake Facebook page with not real friends. But if they have real friends that they're engaging with, they're obviously a real person. It makes us a lot more confident doing business with people. Now, I know that having this kind of like requirement of some social media proof and some, name recognition online, we probably lose out on some actual deals from people that are just not comfortable, being as public. But it saves us for the heartache and the hassle it saves us. It is completely worth it. So if you can't verify the person online, they don't have an online presence through social media or networking groups, then I would pass. That's a sign for us that we don't want to do business with you.
Yeah, no, good advice. I mean, that makes sense, obviously, that you want to verify people. And
are you thinking, let me ask you, are you thinking like AdSense sites? Are you thinking e-commerce sites?
Yeah, probably more affiliate type sites. So AdSense or, Amazon, other type of ad revenue type sites. Not really looking to get into e-commerce, if you will, just because I know that can add a wrinkle with either, drop shipping relationships or other types of things that maybe require a little more customer service. I want something fairly hands-free.
Yeah, the e-commerce stuff, if you want to learn about building sites, our buddy Andrew over at ecommercefuel.com has some amazing content on e-commerce. And you're right, e-commerce requires it's a different animal to run and also to vet if you're looking to potentially buy one. So there are some other gotchas there. But specifically with the AdSense sites, here's a trick. People try to use... obviously they try to fake their screenshots. Mm-hmm. So you can always request a screencast, so a video of their AdSense account. It's going to be harder to fake. It's harder for them to do that. Another thing they'll do is they'll try to put multiple sites under a custom channel. So they'll try to hide multiple sites and show you the earnings from those multiple sites, even though it's not the one site, and try to pass that off as proof. So you'll see that. Other times you'll have for example, they'll have a domain name with an extra I or an S in it, but it's very, very similar, and that's the one that's earning. And they try to build up sites that are very close to that, and it's kind of blurry on the site that's listed. So you think you're getting that site, and you're seeing proof from that site, but it's actually from a different site that is earning well, and they've built up these like 10 domains kind of around it. That's another trick that people use for ads, and there's a whole bunch.
Man, shady.
Yeah, man, there's some shady stuff. I think though probably 75-80% of it is pretty recognizable. I mean, the don't do business with someone that's not legit. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And just verifying that all the numbers add up, that's going to cut out 75% of the stuff. I mean, there's still other scams and sketchiness out there, but if you just follow those three things, I think you'll mostly protect yourself.
Yep.
There's and honestly, there's a whole bunch on due diligence, and it depends on the type of site you're buying. If you're buying a $100 a month site, obviously, less due diligence is going to have to go into it to make it worth your while. Whereas if you're buying a $4,000 a month site, you can put in more due diligence. But just some common sense I think goes a long way, and don't rush into it. Buy yourself one or two sites, but take your time and try to figure it out. It's kind of a fun process anyway, so I think it does make sense. You don't, unless you're in some kind of rush, you can take your time and try to get a good look at kind of what you're looking for and what makes sense and what doesn't. So yeah.
No, those are some great tips. I appreciate that, and people listening, I'm sure, appreciate that too. For me personally, I'm kind of going to just try and learn the process. Buy, a few sites this year and see how it goes. And if it goes well and I make a little bit of money next year, I may step up my game and, buy some bigger sites. So we'll see how that goes. This year's going to be a learning process for me.
Has Chris Guthrie had a little bit of effect? I know that's a big thing for him. He's always looking to buy sites and always telling us, hey, you got any sites for sale? We actually sold, I think, a couple of his sites for him on the marketplace. Yeah, so
he's always chatted with him for sure.
Yeah, those people start to influence you, right? We've got a buddy that sells sites on our marketplace, and he crushed it. He sold like a lot of sites this year through us. And I'm always thinking to myself, man, dude, that's a nice little business. Like he doesn't do any blogging, he doesn't do any of that stuff. And just kind of makes money on the back end. So sometimes I envy him. It's kind of nice. You can just do it privately, but I don't know. I like what we got. I like the blog and podcast. It's fun.
No, that's awesome. So, very good. I mean, that's basically everything I wanted to cover. Was there anything else, either in your business or anything else going on that you want to talk about at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just mention kind of what we talked a little bit about, before we got on the show, is that, the building, buying, and selling community is pretty fantastic. Obviously you're out there. You've got Viper Chill doing some kind of interesting stuff. You've got, John Haver over at Authority Website Income, Tung Tran at Cloud Living. It's a really cool community of people that are working together to build these sites. It's amazing to me that no one's really built an interesting kind of like paid mastermind with all these people together. It's something that we looked at doing toward the end of this last year. We were really considering it, but you have limited focus, and so our focus is on supporting that community and not necessarily building the community. Mm-hmm. But I wish someone would do it. Spencer, you or Tung or John, I think there's such a community there. I mean, it's something that we would want to be involved in ourselves, right? So, I mean, I think there's a ton of opportunity there. I think I was telling some other people this. I said it publicly on Google Plus, but I'll say it here. I think a done-for-you private blog network would be pretty awesome. And we're talking serious pricing. We're talking, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000 as a done-for-you service. People would pay that. Mm-hmm. People are looking for private blog networks that they can own completely. So, and it's time-consuming. It's difficult to find all the domains when you got guys like Hayden and John showing everyone else how to do it. But I think if someone could put that together, talk about how to do it from start to finish, and then offer those packages for sale, as a done-for-you service, I think they can make a lot of money. I think it's a six-figure business in the first year, probably mid six figures by the second and third year, $400,000 a year. So, I mean, if you've got some SEO knowledge or you've actually built out private blog networks before, I think that's an amazing opportunity. So, I mean, you and I, Spencer, and others that are in this space, like we see all these opportunities, but like we just can't go after them all. I mean, you've got Longscale Pro, which is a big focus of yours, right? And like that's your baby. You're building that up. You're probably not taking care of all the opportunities that are there for you right now. We talked about that a bit. There's so much more for you to do. But then you see all these other opportunities. You're like, God, I hope someone steps in. Like, I hope someone does the community stuff. I hope someone does the private blog network stuff. We're going to do our part on the other end of buying and selling sites. So offering a marketplace for people to take their niche and authority sites to sell. People looking to add properties to their existing portfolio, we want to provide them the opportunity. So I think all of us together should do more to support that community and build it up and offer different alternatives for building their sites, buying their sites, and selling their sites. So anyway, I love what you're doing, Spencer. I follow your blog regularly. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm digging it.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, you're going to fill my head with ideas, mentioning all the sort of groups and, mastermind things. And, yeah, there's all sorts of things that either I or others could be doing. Like you said, my focus is elsewhere. I have no intention of...
It sounds like I'm beating you up. Spencer, you need to do this. No.
No, I know, but what I was going to say is that people that are listening that, maybe don't have sort of a business that they're already running, I can give them some ideas of things that they could be doing to support this community or grow the community. And I agree with you that there's a lot of opportunity and things that people could be doing that almost out of the gate, like you said, in the first year could be six-figure businesses. So a lot of exciting things.
Think about that, Spencer. I mean, that's a good blog post for anyone who's in the space to do. Reach out to everyone and say, what's your top two opportunities in the space? And then explain why you think it's an opportunity, what's validated that opportunity, those kinds of things. And do that with 4 or 5 people. That'd be an interesting blog post right there. So
I think
there's
good ideas.
there's a lot of stuff going on. So I mean, for everyone that's listening and that is in the building, buying, and selling space, there's a lot of opportunity. So we're looking forward to 2014. Obviously, if you want to check out more about our stuff, you can check us out at EmpireFlippers.com. We also have a iTunes podcast, top-rated podcast called Empire Flippers Podcast. You can have a listen to me and my business partner banter on about building, buying, and selling sites.
Yep, you guys have a great time on your podcast, and you always have a lot of interesting things going on, like we've talked about already, but I'm excited for you guys in 2014 and beyond. I think your business is going to grow quite a bit. So I appreciate you, Justin, coming on the show to talk about that, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future.
Thanks, buddy. Same to you.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you.